What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the What the Fun Show. Today is going to be a little bit different. We are doing a bunch of Star Wars content to get ready for the new Obi Wan series coming on Disney Plus, and so we have a mini series that we are introducing here called Obi Wan's Star Wars, where we're going to take a look at the prequel movies from Obi Wan's perspective and really talk and go into a little bit of a deep dive into how he sees the Star Wars story unfolding. And with me to do so is Justin. How you doing today, Justin?
I'm good. I cannot wait for this. Star Wars anything. Always excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. And Jelly is back. Joe, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to take a look at the movies that not everyone loves through a different lens, and hopefully we will appreciate them a little bit more.
Yeah. So listeners, we're going to go through each prequel movie from Obi-Wan's perspective. This episode, The Phantom Menace, obviously, to start us out. And then the next two episodes will be the following movies. The Attack of the Clones episode, as of this recording, or as of this release, rather, you should be seeing it released the next day. And then 2 days from that release, we'll release the Revenge of the Sith. And then, following all of this, we will be doing a review of the new Obi-Wan series, the first two episodes, and then we'll be basically a week behind, but we will be reviewing each and every episode. At least we're going to try to. So yeah, a bunch of Star Wars stuff coming up, and we're really excited. So if you have not already, if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, the like button, all the things, and we would really appreciate if you leave a comment down below, let us know how we're doing. And if you're listening to us on a podcast app, please leave us a review there, especially on Apple iTunes. That really gets us into the algorithm. If you're on Spotify mobile, make sure you hit that 5-star rating on that app. All right, guys. So these are going to be like little short mini episodes, and you guys ready to talk about Obi-Wan's perspective in Phantom Menace?
Absolutely.
Of course.
Of course. Good. All right. Cool. So yeah, Phantom Menace, one of the first Star Wars that I personally saw in theaters. Actually, the first Star Wars I saw in theaters.
I would hope so.
Because I wasn't old enough. But anyway, I really have a love for Phantom Menace, and honestly, a lot of it is rooted in Obi-Wan, as I think we will come to find as we talk about these movies. So, yeah, Obi-Wan, this movie starts off with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan going into the Trade Federation, who's led by Newt Gunray. And basically, they are going there to have a diplomatic meeting to see if they could prevent, basically, a war and stuff like that. So you guys, Obi-Wan's perspective here, what do you think he's doing at this point? He's a Padawan, he's under Qui-Gon is his master. Where do you think Obi-Wan's head is at in these first couple scenes?
Well, honestly, he's really questioning a lot of the stuff that Qui-Gon is doing, or saying for that matter. He's kind of bringing his own things to the table. So he's still a young Jedi for sure. He is a Padawan, so he's questioning things, but also, he'll hold his own for sure.
Mm-hmm. Joe?
Yeah, I think as we jump into it, obviously it starts off pretty quick in action. Like they're coming on to do diplomatic things, and yeah, he's wondering kind of what's going on. He's with his master. He's learning. All of this is learning opportunity. But he's been around for a while because Jedi training starts super young age, and by this point in time, he's in his 20s, he looks like, right? So he's been doing this for nigh on a decade and a half, and he understands what he's supposed to do, but also he kind of wants to know a little bit more. Qui-Gon is his teacher, is his mentor, and negotiations, he's not feeling it, literally, in the Force. Mm-hmm. He feels like there's a trap.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's literally what it is. It does end up kind of being a trap. They try to kill them by gassing them. It's true. No, that's the original trilogy. Good reference. Anyway, yeah, I mean, he kind of senses correctly, and then eventually Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon have to hold their breath. They're gonna be killed within this, gas cloud. And they come out and they're fighting a bunch of droids. And Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, they're trying to get to the leader, Newt Gunray, obviously by force at this point. And they come across some droids that they can't necessarily handle. And so this is the first instance and only instance of force running. Do you guys know that scene?
Yeah.
Force running and jumping. The droid.
Yeah.
Literally like one side of the hallway, and then they just pan the camera and they're like all the way at the end. You're like, wait, whoa.
Yeah, which I have a little thing about that when we get to the end of this movie, but we'll save that. But yeah, the only instance of force running. So Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, they end up becoming stowaways on droid ships that are going down to the planet Naboo, and they end up kind of in this like droid army with the Naboo, and eventually they meet a Gungan, our favorite character, Jar Jar Binks.
Misa back! Misa saved me again!
So Obi-Wan makes some funny stuff going on with that, and he says, "Who is this guy?" And basically Jar Jar Binks owes Qui-Gon his life, basically, because he was saved. And then what they end up doing is they go to the Gungan city. And this is where you kind of see Obi-Wan's like prowess as a Jedi start to show, because Joe, talk us through a little bit of Obi-Wan's like interaction with the Gungans while Qui-Gon's trying to do some things there as well.
I mean, Obi-Wan is the negotiator, right? He is super wise, super knowledgeable in interpersonal relations. The dude is a master, and that's what we come to know, especially as we continue on in the series. But like, we're introduced to that here in the Gungans, because Gungans really don't want to have anything to do with them. Jar Jar's a traitor. He's supposed to be killed if he ever goes back to the Gungan city. They bring him back, and then Obi-Wan again negotiates his life, because there's a life debt owed. With Qui-Gon there, they figure it out, and then not only do they figure out a solution to their problem, they get a guide for the planet, they get a ship to escape, and they get a little bit more, like, you get a little bit more knowledge and understanding of what Obi-Wan, like, his role is gonna be. And so it's
and the ship that they give them literally can withstand the planet's core. Like, that's insane, that this squid-like mechanic. And then we can go into the trip to Naboo as well, because they're all in the ship, Jar Jar, Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan is just calm, like, the whole time. Obviously, Jar Jar's the funny, comical character, and he's freaking out. But Qui-Gon and Obi are just kind of chill the whole time. Even all this other stuff is going on, they're just, it's normal.
Yeah, and I think that, obviously it's supposed to be a play at them, using their Jedi training to remain calm and focused and just think through everything. But yeah, we get a big intro into what that looks like, what that is, as far as like kind of their ability to stay calm under pressure. We saw that on the ship in space. We saw that on the descent. We saw that in the Gungan area. Their ability to stay calm, focused, think through everything logically, and then use the Force to kind of feel their way through a conversation and guide it to where they want to be. You get all of that. And then, then they end up going through the planet's core, like I said, onto Naboo. And then they reach Naboo, where they're supposed to be getting Amidala. What's her name? Senator? Queen
Amidala?
Was she in this movie?
Yeah, Queen Padme.
I mean, essentially, spoilers.
Yes.
So yeah, they end up also getting the Queen. They know that there's an issue here and that they're going to kill her. And so they convince them to leave the planet. And one of the cool things is that, this is one of the first scenes that you kind of see Obi-Wan's lightsaber skills, against droids, but still, is really showcasing his lightsaber skills. And they eventually flee the planet of Naboo, and their ship ends up being kind of broken. And so they...
Yeah.
There's the blockade.
There's the blockade, exactly. So they get through the blockade, as Justin alluded to, and they have to basically find refuge in a planet that we're very familiar with, and that is Tatooine. Yeah, so
We're familiar with it?
Yeah, we are.
Not at this point, if you were going chronologically, but for the fans of the show that have watched the movies, they know this planet for sure.
Oh yeah. So they're on Tatooine, and from Obi-Wan's perspective, his story is kind of halted here. I mean, Qui-Gon is off the ship trying to get the part to repair the ship, and Obi-Wan stays with the ship. Now,
the only really big part here is when the metachlorian count comes back. That's really the only the ship kind of stuff you get, and he does reference his knowledge of the Force, obviously, because he does say, I haven't seen things like that other than Master Yoda, which is he knows about stuff. Even though he's kind of like trailing behind at the ship.
Yeah, he just wasn't a big part. At least for the first movie, he played a much smaller role. I think and on purpose, right? They want that. They want more of the master Padawan relationship shown between Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, just to show kind of what it looks like. Yeah, and then they have to get Annie's story in. So I think we get that bit on the ship, and then the next time we get that is at the pod racing. That's the next time Obi-Wan's in the scene again, which was fun and whatever, but it's still not a big part. He's just there. And then after that, the next big part with Obi-Wan would be introducing a Sith Lord.
Yeah, Darth Maul is not introduced here, but he is introduced in a fighting way. He is on the planet Tatooine, and he sees Qui-Gon trying to go back to the ship, and he interferes with the process going smoothly, and so Qui-Gon is he's fighting Darth Maul on the sand dunes there, and he says, hey, take the ship up. And so Obi-Wan commands the ship to be taken up, and then eventually Qui-Gon is able to thwart off Darth Maul for now and jump onto the ship and leave. But let's dive into that a little bit. So this is the first time that Obi-Wan theoretically is coming face to face with a Sith, the dark side, really. So Justin, what do you think Obi-Wan as a Padawan who's on the verge of becoming a master, what do you think his thought process is here when he's seeing Darth Maul for the first time?
All the training was leading up to something. He was obviously well versed, and he knows his skills that he's been trained in. So he is willing to die for the Force, the good side. I think that there might be a small chance of fear at that point. Watching Qui-Gon fight and literally trying to get on the ship in the worst time possible. Just fighting something that he's never seen before, theoretically, like you said. I feel like he's trained for it, but he's watching his master fight to the death, pretty much. And he wants to help his master, for sure.
Yeah. Joe?
I really have nothing to add there. I mean, it was just his first introduction, and he says so, that, he's heard of the Sith, and he's heard rumors, but he's never experienced one. And so it's kind of his first foray into, okay, well, this is what a Sith Lord looks like, and then what it's like to encounter someone who's also trained in the ways of the Force and lightsaber.
Yeah. So they got the part through Anakin winning the pod race, and they also Anakin is freed. He's no longer a slave, and so they are back on their way to Coruscant. And Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan inform the Jedi Council that there is a Sith Lord that is coming out and showing his face, basically. So
the real question with that was it the apprentice or was it the master? That's the big question of they don't know. They really don't, because there's always two.
Yeah. Yeah, and so now the focus is not necessarily Obi Wan is not really the focus of this movie, but there's a pivotal moment here within these next couple scenes that really affect Obi Wan and his thought process of Qui-Gon. And so Qui-Gon and Obi Wan bring Anakin to the Jedi Council, and Qui-Gon believes that Anakin is the chosen one, and Anakin needs to be trained as a Jedi. And basically, Anakin goes through some tests, and the Jedi Council end up saying, hey, he's too old to be trained, so he's not going to be trained. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are standing behind Anakin, and Qui-Gon says, I'll train him then.
Yeah, I'm going to do it anyways.
Yeah. There's only one problem. He already has a Padawan learner in Obi-Wan. And so Qui-Gon here says that Obi-Wan is ready for the Master Trials. Like, he is ready to become a Jedi Master, no longer needing to be a Padawan learner. Mm-hmm. What do you think Obi-Wan's kind of thought process behind that as well? Joe, we'll start with you.
I think that he would have been surprised at first, but also welcome for the challenge. If we look forward a little bit here onto how ready Anakin was to be a Jedi Master at probably a younger point than Obi-Wan was here, we have to assume that Obi-Wan was equally as ready to be a master, much more questioning himself as to whether, he really was ready, but he'd been trained his whole life for it. So I think that he was ready for it in the sense that he actually had the skills and abilities, although mentally maybe not prepared because it was thrust upon him before he was mentally ready, before he'd really processed it. But I think that's probably the best way to go about it.
Justin?
Honestly, I agree with Joe tenfold. I feel like he might have at first been surprised, like he said. I feel like maybe he felt like, I'm not ready, but I think in his heart he knew he was. And I think that it's not a feeling of replacement or, I need to, I'm getting replaced by the guy that is the one. But I am ready, and I feel like I can take on, I can be a Jedi for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I think I sense just not necessarily jealousy, but I didn't think he was ready to lose Qui-Gon as his master. I think more so. I think he still wanted to learn a little bit more from Qui-Gon, but Qui-Gon was pretty sure that he had taught Obi-Wan everything that he kind of knew. So there was no more really teaching him, and so that kind of gave Obi-Wan the little confidence that he needed to, think or believe that he is ready for the Master Trials. And ultimately he was. I mean, we come to find out that he was. But, probably still a little taken aback that Qui-Gon was so quick and ready to train Anakin over Obi-Wan. But obviously we know the end of the story, so let's get to that. Kind of from here, they get back to the planet Naboo because Queen Amidala is no longer, wanting to sit around by the Senate, doing nothing basically. And so they go back to Naboo, and basically the rest of Obi-Wan's story is the fight with none other than Darth Maul. Unless I'm missing something, guys. Am I wrong?
Nope. Duel of Fates.
No?
That's it.
Okay. Yeah, Duel of the Fates. So basically this fight scene is awesome. If you don't like this fight scene, I'm sorry. Stop living under a rock. This is great. I mean,
there
Darth
are better
Maul
fight scenes. In this trilogy, there are better fight scenes.
True.
I'm saying it right now.
I mean, yeah, we could get to the Revenge of the Sith fight scene or others.
But what about
still,
music?
Maybe not music. This music is epic.
John Williams killed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't talk bad about that.
So, yeah, Justin, what do you think about this fight scene overall? And then we'll get to the end of the fight scene.
A lot of it was standing toe to toe with Qui-Gon and almost as one fighting Maul. Maul had a double-sided lightsaber, dual-sided lightsaber. So he was able to really hold his own against two Jedis, which really kind of like pushed back the feelings. I'm sure Obi-Wan was like, I got this, I can do this, but something tragic happens, and theoretically, it's the first time Obi-Wan has seen this happen with Qui-Gon in particular. And I feel like that struck a chord with him and said like, oh, well, this person is out of the picture. It's up to me. I have to do this. And, it happens. It happens for sure. And it's awesome the way it does. Maul will be back.
It was the first time in it that we had real stakes. Mm-hmm. We get we get the stab, right? They're taking him on. They're going through this laser field, and
no! Stop! I'm not there yet.
I'm taking us there. We're on a ride here. We just went to it.
I wanted to talk about something.
You want to talk about those weird force moves, don't you?
No. I want to. Never mind. Just go. Fine. I wasn't there yet, but
no.
fine.
I'm ready. Go for it. I want to know what you were thinking.
Obi-Wan totally should have used the Force running that he used in the first scene, and Qui-Gon would still be alive. That's all I wanted to say.
I don't know about that.
Also,
he would have made it.
Was poked with a lightsaber that cauterizes wounds. He was fine.
He wasn't
totally
poked.
fine. He was poked in the tummy with a lightsaber.
He was not poked.
Impalement and tragedy.
He should have lived. Anakin lost 2 feet, an arm, kept his robot arm though, so that's good. And he lived, was just fine. But a little tummy poke, and Qui-Gon goes down. Come on now, he gave up. That's my take on it.
Let's talk about the force fields.
He gave up.
Let's talk about the force fields, the red force fields. So they get separated. Qui-Gon is in front, and Maul is right next to him, and then Obi-Wan is kind of slacking behind, right? So they're separated, and Obi-Wan has to literally watch because he can't get through the force field. This is, I think, the only time in the canon 9 films that force fields have stopped lightsabers. In like the books and in the animated, there's like shields and stuff. They got to bring that back. But so Qui-Gon is stopped by one of the force fields, and Darth is on the other side. And this is a key point here, I think, in Obi-Wan's training, just to see how Qui-Gon takes this moment of peace and tranquility, of focus. Mm-hmm. He sits down and he becomes one with the Force. He meditates while this force field is up, and Darth is just walking back and forth, completely, in his anger and in his state of wanting to kill. So I feel like this is a key point of peaceful tranquility within this madness that's happening. And I think that's a good lesson for Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I mean, a lesson that he doesn't necessarily take because he just saw his master, really he die.
Well, that's apparently after the force field.
Well, I mean, no, that he's caught by the last force field after they were meditating, and then he sees the death, and he's just ready to go. And it once again just shows when he does eventually get to fight Darth Maul 1v1, it shows that he is ready to become a master. That Darth Maul is not necessarily up for the challenge against Obi-Wan, and it also shows how Obi-Wan, as you said, Justin, you said, he is kind of becoming one with the Force and utilizing the Force for good here. He's able to jump himself up after being knocked down the pit, and while simultaneously getting himself over Darth Maul, which foreshadow Anakin can't do against Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith. But he is also forcing a lightsaber to his hand as well to cut Darth Maul in half. So yeah, just an awesome fight, a really cool way to end it. Yeah, really, that ends Phantom Menace. Obi-Wan pleads with Yoda to be able to train Anakin because that was Qui-Gon's wish.
Yeah, his dying request.
His dying request. Yep. Stop it. Anyway,
He's definitely dead after the end, though.
Yeah.
I think
then,
he just
yeah.
got absorbed into the Force.
Yeah.
He Obi-Wan it.
He Obi-Wan it. Yeah, so Obi-Wan, Anakin pleads with Obi-Wan, says, hey, what's going to happen to me now? And Obi-Wan says, you will be trained as a Jedi. I could promise you. And that's the end of the story. That's Obi-Wan's Phantom Menace. And so join us for the next episode as we talk about Obi-Wan's, his perspective in Attack of the Clones. So once again, if you liked this episode, please leave us a review, like and subscribe the video. If you're watching us on YouTube, let us know how we're doing. For me, for Joe, for Justin, we'll catch you guys later in the next episode of Obi-Wan's Star Wars.
Bye.
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 All right, cool. Good job, guys. That was fun.
He got poked in the tummy with light.
It wasn't a poke, bro. He got gutted.
He got one little.
It
hole.
cauterizes, though. Joe is right. It cauterizes it, so.
I think he gave up and he just.
You can't cauterize a
okay.
hole.
Yeah.